Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well trained, well equipped, and battle hardened. He will fight savagely. But this is the year 1944.
Hello, welcome to Tutorial 5 covering the Airborne Assault Stage, played at the beginning of the June 6th AM game turn. In Part 1, we'll be looking at the setup of the Airborne Display. Now, just two reminders, all references will either look like this for the October 2016 version of the Atlantic Wall Scenario Rules, or like this for the July 2020 version of the GAUSS System Rules. And at times, Tutorial 5 presents a lot of written information on screen. Please make frequent use of the pause button to make sure you don't miss anything. All right, with that out of the way, let's get started. Okay, the Airborne Display is divided into 4 sections. The top section holds the units of the UK 6th Airborne Division. The second section, those of the US 82nd Airborne Division. And the third, the US 101st Airborne Division. The fourth section is the extended scatter track, which will be covered in a later video. Now, for the most part, you can fill out the display by placing counters in their matching boxes. But there are a few details which deserve some attention. First, in the UK 6th Airborne Division section, this box, labeled Glider Pegasus Bridge, incorrectly shows a 226 company. The actual counter is a 116 company, which should be placed face up. Second, the elements represented by that counter were taken from the unit shown here, which therefore begins the campaign flipped over to its one-step reduced side and is placed face down in its box. In a later video, I'll talk about how the two units can be recombined. Third, the counter for General Gale is stacked with the 6th Airborne HQ here. Fourth, this unit, labeled Seaborne, is not placed on the Airborne Display, but instead in the Sword Beach section of the 2nd British Army landing diagram, in the AM Sub-Phase 3 box, here. And fifth, these two units, also labeled Seaborne, remain on the Airborne Display until they arrive as reinforcements via the Naval Transit System on the June 14th AM game turn. Okay, moving down to the 82nd Airborne Division section, the setup of these two AT companies can be a little confusing. First, place Unit 80A face up in this box, like this. And second, place Unit 80B face down in this box, like this. Now, 80A functions as a breakdown unit for its parent unit designated 80B, meaning if the two are recombined later in the campaign, 80A will be removed from the map, and 80B will be flipped over to its two-step full-strength side. Next, A and B companies of the 307th Engineer Battalion, shown here, are stacked together in the same box, along with C Company placed here. They function as breakdown units which can later be recombined or built up, as indicated by this label, into their parent unit, which can either be left on the display until it's needed or placed in the U.S. Units Broken Down box on Map A. Good. Moving on to the 101st Airborne Division section, the counter for AT Company 81A is shown here and is placed face up in its box. Now, just like I described for the 82nd Airborne Division, it also functions as a breakdown unit. However, its parent unit, shown here, is not placed on the display, but instead on the first U.S. Army landing diagram in the Utah Beach section in the PM Subphase 2 box. Note that the landing diagram incorrectly shows the unit's two-step full-strength side. But the counter is placed face down with its one-step reduced side visible. And just like with the 82nd Airborne, 81A of the 101st functions as a breakdown unit for its parent unit, designated 81B. Meaning, if the two are recombined later in the campaign, 81A will be removed from the map, and 81B will be flipped over to its two-step full-strength side. Now, these 6 units are not placed on the airborne display, but instead in the Utah Beach section of the U.S. First Army landing diagram in the PM Subphase 2 and 3 boxes, like this. A company of the 326th Engineer Battalion, shown here, is not placed on the airborne display either, but unlike all the other units it is grouped with, it's instead placed in the Utah Beach Transit box, found on the U.S. Naval Transit and Beach Holding Boxes display. And just like their 82nd Airborne Division counterparts, A and B companies of the 326th, along with C Company, found here, function as breakdown units that can later be recombined to form their parent unit, which can be kept here until it's needed, or placed in the U.S. Units Broken Down box. Good. Now, place all of the remaining counters exactly as indicated. When finished, the display should look like this for the UK 6th Airborne Division, this for the US 82nd Airborne Division, and this for the 101st Airborne Division. And finally, there should be 3 Z-step units from the 6th Airborne left over. They are not used in the game and can be left in the box. Okay, that's everything you need to know to set up the airborne display. In the next video, we'll look at Segment 1 of the Airborne Assault Stage. Now, as always, if you have any comments or questions, notice a mistake, or feel there is something that should be included in the video, please let me know. Any and all feedback is welcome. And with that, thanks for watching, and see you in Part 2.